I kind of like the fireside chat feel you got going on. Well, how you doing? I'm just pouring myself a glass of water.
Just chilling out. Okay, cool. I stood in the center of Times Square at midnight. It was packed with people, but it was completely silent. It was so quiet that when a biker rode by, the noise from his bike filled the whole place. On one of the screens, it read November 8th, 2016. Let's rewind a few months earlier. I joked with my friend Lucas, who's actually somewhere back there, about going to New York on election day. Nothing really came of it, but then a few more months passed and we decided, what the heck, let's go. So Garbo, Lucas, and I bought our tickets to New York City. We would hit a few bars that had election parties, and when Hillary won, we would go to Times Square and high-five as many drunk Americans as we could. So fast forward to the trip. On Saturday, we decided to either go shopping or check out the High Line. We decided on the High Line. There were two subway lines that we can use to get there, north or east. We chose east. We start walking, and at one point we realized we walked too far. So we turned around and walked through an alley to get to the station. When we came out of the alley, we saw a lineup that stretched over 2 to 3 city blocks. We walked past it, but then I was curious about what they're lining up for, so I would turn around and asked. They said that this is the lineup to get tickets to attend Hillary Clinton's election night party, where she'd be making her speech. So I start freaking out. I had to get into this event. I had to see Hillary Clinton on election night. So I asked them who's eligible to attend such an event. And one person said you can get free tickets if you're a registered volunteer. Okay, so we immediately lined up and registered on our phones to be volunteers. After 30 minutes of lining up on the sidewalk, all the while freaking out and too many feelings to list, we finally got to the front. We're now inside Hillary's Manhattan campaign office. Now the second hurdle had presented itself. You see, in front of me, people started taking out their IDs, their American IDs. We realized we had two options. We can either give them our Canadian ID, or we can say we forgot our IDs altogether. We went back and forth on this, and we decided just to be honest. I mean, after all, it's what Bernie would have wanted. As I get to the front, the person asked me for my ID. So I give him my driver's license without saying a word. He looked at me, looked at the ID, looked down, wrote on his laptop. He gave me my ID, and he gave me a ticket. We had just received tickets to be in the same room as Hillary Clinton on election night. We had not expected this at all. We were originally going to spend election night at some bar. Had we gone shopping instead of the High Line, had we walked north instead of east, had we not gotten lost and walked through an alley, and had we walked past the lineup without asking what the lineup was about, had any one of these things happened, we would not have stumbled upon these tickets. And this was a little bit too much. We kind of had to sit down just to soak it in and take it all in. And I have to be honest, I sort of started tearing up. I was going to be standing face to face in front of Hillary Clinton as she gets crowned as America's first ever female president. This was a symbolic victory, not just for women, but for people all around the world. Before coming to New York, I had drafted up all these snappy one-liners on Facebook. For whenever she won, I'd post that right away. But the best one that I had was, it's a great day for empathy. It's a great day for empathy. For me, Trump and his supporters stood for all that was wrong in the world. They were not empathetic, and they were not supportive of our liberal values and progressive ideas. The next few days, you can feel the election magic in the air. Both Trump and Hillary would be in New York City on election night for their election parties. On Tuesday, the entire world would have their eyes on America, and America would have its eyes on New York City. So now it's election day. I remember waking up to clear skies and a bright sun, feeling super excited and very hopeful for the future of America. We got to the arena at 1 p.m. to line up in what looked like a massive airplane hangar. And within a few hours, there was half a hockey game's worth of people lined up. Now here's the thing about Americans. They have this great sense of community to them. At one point, the organizer at the front used a large microphone to communicate with us. But since the hangar was so big, anyone in the middle or the back couldn't hear it. So the people in the front started chanting the message to the people in the middle, and the people in the middle started chanting the message to the people in the back. It was basically the largest game of telephone I've ever been in part of. At one point, the organizer told us we couldn't bring in outside food, so everyone started offering each other their food. People started saying things like, "Who wants my chips? Who wants my cookies?" One guy held up a sandwich and said, "Who wants my sandwich?" After being packed like sardines with thousands of strangers for 6 hours, we finally got inside the Javits Center. This is it. I'm going to see Hillary Clinton. I'm so excited and I can't contain it myself anymore. The arena was packed with people, with vendors serving food and people talking on stage. We were watching a special broadcast, so when the news went to commercials, they played Hillary advertisements for the crowd. As I look up for the first time, I realized Trump was leading Florida by 93%. Wait, that's a typo, right? Anyway, Florida always goes back and forth, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. We start waiting in line for food, and as I spoke with one American, and he told me that there's going to be fireworks later on tonight, and Katy Perry is going to perform. After we got food and continued watching, the announcer on screen said that this was no longer going to be a blowout Clinton victory, and that Trump is actually doing better than most people thought. Okay, all right, so not every election could be Bush versus Dukakis, but a win is a win. 10 p.m. Hillary Clinton takes Virginia. There was a large cheer that erupted in the arena. The venue's name is Javits Center, and they picked the venue because its ceiling is made of glass, and of course, Hillary was going to shatter it. 10:28. CNN and Fox call Ohio for Trump. The first major swing state now goes to Trump. But that's okay though, I mean, you can't depend on Ohio for these things, right? Ohio's never useful for you. At the very center of the arena, there was a stage where people gave speeches. People who spoke were the mayor and governor of New York, Humayun Khan, the father of the Muslim soldier who died fighting in Iraq, and Katy Perry, who's giving a performance later on during the fireworks. 10:53. Trump has now taken Florida. The TV analyst said that Hillary is no longer the favorite, and it's now a literal coin toss between the two. But, I mean, there's probably no reason to be upset because Obama led the Midwestern states against Romney, and that's how he won. So surely Hillary's going to do the same thing. She's going to capture Midwest, and she's going to, that's going to help her propel her to victory. I talked to a cop and asked him where the fireworks would be. And the cop said the fireworks are canceled and Katy Perry's no longer performing. Okay, so maybe there's going to be some rain or something. That must be why. 11:14. North Carolina goes to Trump. He now has more paths to get to 270 votes, and she was now on the defensive. Now she needed Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all of which were in virtual ties or led by Trump. And meanwhile, the Canadian citizen and immigration website has crashed. Then all of a sudden, I look around me and I see people start crying. And some people are starting to leave. I also distinctly remember seeing 3 Latino teenagers sitting on the ground in a circle, holding hands and praying. I mean, I really don't know why these guys are so sad, to be honest. Like, she can still pull this off. We still have the western states to work with, and there might be a surprise from Colorado or Nevada. So what she's going to do is she's going to win the swing states, and then she's going to win the West. She'll do this. I know it. She has to. I mean, there's no way that he's going to win, right? Like, in no universe can a man like Donald Trump become the president of the United States. The most powerful person, like, midnight. Wisconsin goes to Trump. As the news went to commercials, they cut to a Hillary advertisement that I'll never forget. In the ad, an elderly woman said that she was born during the women's suffragette movement, and that she's thankful that by the end of her lifetime, we're gonna have a female president. And when that ad ended, my stomach turned. 1:30 a.m. The Keystone State of Pennsylvania goes to Donald J. Trump. We decided it was time for us to leave and go to Times Square. As we walk towards the exit, I look at the stage one more time, realizing that I was this close to seeing Hillary on it. I stood in the center of Times Square. It was packed with people, but it was completely silent. It was so quiet that when a biker rode by, The noise from his bike filled the whole place. The biker was riding around, looking up at the election results. He was riding in circles like an American eagle circling above to catch its prey. And as the biker rode off into the distance and disappeared, so too did Hillary's chances of sitting in the White House. And at this moment, I realized that I was wrong. I had been blaming Trump and his supporters for not having empathy, and yet it was me who was guilty of that all along. This entire time, I took for granted that Hillary would win. I carried myself as if the battle was won, and that coming to New York was just the march in the parade. It wasn't until today that I realized how big America is and how much of middle America is suffering. In essence, it was me who was not being empathetic towards Trump's supporters. I recall my Facebook post, "It's a great day for empathy." Well, that turned out to be a true statement. It was a great day for empathy. But it wasn't a lesson in empathy for Trump and his supporters, but rather a lesson for me. Thank you.